All right, hello.
Hello, everyone. We're back.
We're back. You Can't Play Sports podcast is back again.
Oh, yes. My name's Jenna.
I'm Hannah.
And today we're going to talk to you about the WNBA.
Yeah, we got to talk about it because, I don't know, when people think of women's sports, I feel like WNBA is probably one of the first things that people think of.
Maybe not for the good things about
Yeah,
it.
not for the good things. I mean, we'll go over, we should preface this first by saying I've watched, a couple games of the WNBA, but I am no expert here.
Yeah, I've seen, clips of a couple, but honestly, basketball is not a sport that I, watch all the time. And if I'm going to watch basketball, it would be college basketball.
Yeah, no, I watch college basketball, too. And a lot of women's college basketball, and it's just watching the WNBA. I mean, we'll get into it later, but it feels different than college basketball.
Yeah.
I don't watch the NBA either. That's the one sport I don't watch.
Yeah, rarely for me. It's just I
didn't mean to do that.
If I'm gonna watch basketball, it's gonna be college basketball.
Yeah, same. Basketball, men's or women's, it's just gonna be college basketball.
Yeah.
So yeah, we're talking about the WNBA. We don't regularly watch it, but we have to talk about it because it's really important to acknowledge the WNBA and the good side and the bad side of it.
We're going to definitely break those down for you, too.
Yes. So let's start off. What is the WNBA? Women's National Basketball Association, formed in 1996. They receive, from my understanding, full backing from the NBA, so it's directly a counterpart, directly monetary from the NBA as well. It's good because it's a professional outlet for women, and I think that needs to exist. We need to have something after college for these women that work so hard. So there's a professional outlet for them, and they get paid. I'm not sure quite the highest grossing, but
no,
a decent living wage, I believe. There's lots of potential in the league.
As media coverage is going up of women's sports and women's sports is growing in popularity, there's definitely room for improvement there, but I think that right now where they're at, they have a ton of room to prosper there.
Yeah, there's definitely I feel like there's so much that you can do with the WNBA as opposed to, and women's sports in general, as opposed to men's sports, because people are so locked in, you can't change this rule, you can't change this, or people will throw a fit. But in women's sports, it's if you change something, it's oh, this might be cool, we can experiment.
Yeah, something new to watch for in a game.
Exactly. So, is there any other, you want to acknowledge any other?
I don't know about for the good. I have a few for the bad. Hate to say that, but
okay. So let's move on to what needs to be worked on.
Yeah.
Okay, so
you can start with your few.
Okay, well, I'll just say it, poor attendance, right? Yeah. There just aren't people going to games, and that might change when players like Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese come in, but a lot of people don't watch it. I watch a lot of women's sports, and I don't really watch the WNBA. They have a Connecticut team, and I would go to one in person, honestly, but it's a little bit far away from where I lived in Connecticut, so that's the only reason I didn't go. And so a lot of people don't watch, and this is not my point of view, but a lot of people online say it's boring, it's so boring, blah, blah, blah. There's a lot of negative comments.
Yeah, and I was doing some research before this, trying to see what other people think of it, not just my own personal opinion. And I heard a lot of that, but I heard a lot more harsher statements.
Yeah,
than it's
I'm
boring.
putting it lightly.
Yeah, that was honestly pretty upsetting to see, was just the comments that people are making about this league. And honestly, it's getting to be the comments against women in this league. Like, I know obviously it's an all-women league, but it's like they're making it seem like, oh, women can't do the same as men in basketball.
Yeah.
It's very capable. And I will say that people are saying, oh, it's being compared to the NBA too much. Like, we're getting it too, I don't know what to say, like,
confused.
Almost like they need to be the same thing. That's what people are thinking. Like, I don't know where that came from.
I want to discuss that a little bit further because I think that's a general thing that a lot of men think is when they turn on a women's game, it's going to be the same as a men's game.
Yep.
And that's just not true. Like, it's just going to be different in a lot of ways. Like, rule-wise, there's always, like, sometimes some skewed rules.
Mm-hmm.
And then also, like, playing-wise, like, there's different strategies. Like, watching women's hockey is going to be different than watching men's hockey.
Right.
Even if they had, like, the boarding rule. It's just a different style of play, like more stick work.
And I think that's something that we need to normalize is there's different styles of play when it comes to women and men. And I don't think people can really, like, get that through their head, I guess. And that's what I was reading all these comments, and they were just, like, so harsh. Like, the style of play is awful. It's so slow. There's no dunks. Well, like, my comment to that is women are generally a lot shorter than men. I mean, those basketball girls are obviously going to be, like, a little bit taller than average, but it's like we don't have 7-foot people on the court in the WNBA. Like,
there's just not going to be there's going to be, like, once in a while there's a dunk, and that's going to be, like, cool. But I think and this is, I guess, weird to say, but, like, I prefer women's basketball over men's because there's less dunking. Like, when I watch men's, I'm like, I can't dunk.
Yeah.
What? It just looks like they're carrying the ball and, like, putting it in the basket.
Yeah.
Like, they make it look so easy, which is great. But, like, I like watching women's because when they're playing, it's, like, more strategy, more traditional basketball.
Instead of just, you're tall, go dunk it. Like, you can do that easily. Like, I want to see them work for it.
It's, like, a more traditional style of play.
Yeah.
And, like, now that, you know, we're working outside of the 3-point zone now, like, Caitlin Clark has taken it back further, and that can be a benefit to women's basketball is let's see how far we can go back and, like, maybe we'll work the back of the court more instead of the, like, right by the basket.
Yeah. It seems like every time, like, every second in an NBA game, you see someone dunking. Like, sometimes it just, like, gets boring for me. I'm like, okay, yeah, we get it. Like, and then their, like, celebration after, like, they dunk is just, like, kind of annoying.
And the skews for the points, I feel like, are, like, 2 point between games. Like, every game is, like, we won by 2 points.
Right.
Which is weird to me.
Yeah.
I don't know. But I don't watch a lot of NBA, so maybe it could be really exciting, and I don't know. So preface it with that. But, yeah.
I guess my next point is a lot of people were saying it was just shoved in their face a lot. Like, I see that, but I don't. Like, if you're a fan of women's sports, then I feel like this wouldn't be shoved in your face so much. I feel like if you were someone that was reluctant to watch women's sports, you may feel that way, which I don't know why you would be, but, like, I don't know. I just saw that comment a lot, and I was like, I get it, but I don't.
And I feel this is another thing, is that a lot of people don't enjoy women's sports because a lot of the players have what they deem, like, a political agenda.
Yep, I saw that too.
And I don't necessarily believe that. I mean, everyone has their own politics.
Right.
But I feel like that's not fair to say that just the women are doing that when the men do that too.
Right.
And it's not fair to, like, just criticize certain players for, like, speaking out about certain things when the men do it all the time as well. And whenever they speak out, it's like, oh, yeah.
Yeah.
No one...
It's actually kind of sad that, like, when a woman speaks out, she'll get criticized for it, and then when a man speaks out, it's like, oh, sure, we'll
Yeah.
just pass that along. Like,
Yep. And it's annoying.
yeah. And I have, like, I have seen a lot of WNBA players, like, speak out about political things, but usually it's just, like, it's what someone else believes. Like, you can agree with it or you don't have to agree with it. Like,
Yeah.
it doesn't need to be made a thing in the sport, I guess.
Yeah, like I think a lot of people view politics and sports as two different things. Like you cannot mesh the two, which I don't necessarily agree with because unfortunately we have already like meshed politics with sports when we exclude women, when we exclude black people, when we exclude other races or whatever. So unfortunately, politics and sports are already intertwined and you can't separate that. And like, there's just always going to be something to speak about. And everyone has a voice, everyone has an opinion. Like, this is America. We're allowed to say what we want, free speech. So,
and you can choose whether you agree with it or not. And then you just let it go. You don't make a whole big thing about it if you don't agree.
Yep. Preach.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's kind of like the bad side of things.
Yeah.
So we're trying to improve this sport.
Yeah.
Say we're on the board of the WNBA and we're like, okay, attendance is low, not a lot of people are watching. We're getting some new stars in, Caitlin Clark, Angel Reese, Paige Beckers, like they're all coming in. What do we do to improve the WNBA? Okay, I have a few answers to this question. And this is a lot of I don't agree with this one, but this is what people say. Do you lower the hoop?
I'm going to go with yes.
Okay.
Even though that's going to cause a lot of controversy.
Yeah.
But
with me.
I think that we need to, I don't know, I guess be more accommodating and be more attainable.
Yeah. I mean, look at women's volleyball. The net is lowered there.
Yeah.
So, okay.
But I'm also would be good with keeping it and keeping the challenge.
Yeah.
Because like you said, I do like the style of play without dunking every 5 seconds, but like, I don't know, giving the women a chance to, I guess, I don't want to say this, but live up to the men in some area, just because people are like always like, oh, it never compares to men's sports. The style of play is always so boring. Like, I feel like maybe a couple dunks could add to the excitement, I guess.
I feel like the only people that want the net lowered, though, are usually men.
True.
And they're like, oh, we'll watch it if they lower the net, which is, I'm sorry, but not true. They are not going to watch it if they just lower the net. Like, that's not going to be enough for a lot of men, I feel like. But the reason that I disagree with you is just because I really like the style of play currently, and I think that it is interesting, and I think it gives more merit to like when Caitlin Clark or whoever shoots from like different points on the court. It's like, oh, they're better at shooting from that point in the court than the men are.
Right.
And I think, I don't know, it's just,
I think that
something needs to change.
Yeah. There can be added excitement another way.
Yeah.
Maybe not lowering the hoop.
In my opinion.
Yeah.
I mean, I wouldn't necessarily like say, oh, I'm really not going to watch if they lower the hoop.
Right.
But I feel like the women who play the sport don't want that either. I don't know. I need to survey them.
Probably depends on the player, but
yeah. But if I was a player, I would be like, I'm not gonna deal with a lowered hoop. Like, that's
okay. I could see that, because if I were a player, I'd be like, oh, they're just lowering it because they want us to be like the men.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
now I might be on your
And
side.
like we're different. Like we're just
Yeah.
gonna play different, and we can have a different sort of style without
Yeah.
like dunking and doing all those weird
Like,
things that the men do.
women are different than men, and like we like to embrace that. Like,
Yeah. Like it's okay to have differences and
Yeah.
differences in the sport as well.
yeah, I just wish it went recognized.
Yeah. So lowering the hoop, we're gonna put question mark on that.
Yeah.
Still, that's a possibility. What I want to suggest is some new rules. That's like my big thing. Is like
Okay.
there should be some new cool rules. I really like what the PWHL did with their jailbreak rule.
Yep.
I think that there should be like a half court point rule.
That would actually be really cool. I would love to watch that. Like,
It's 4 points if you shoot
Yeah.
from half court.
think of that like on like Sportsnet, like when you wake up in the morning.
Yes.
Like, I
And then
always
just
watch
women-
those. Yeah.
Women shooting from half court.
Yeah. It's always like I'm waking up in the morning looking at all like the best plays from the previous night, and they're all like my jaw like drops sometimes. Like,
Yeah.
it's actually incredible how good these athletes are.
Yeah. I think that would be so fun. Like just not it doesn't have to be that, but just some extra
Yeah.
rule that's completely different from the
Yeah.
men's. I don't know, like
Just some differentiation.
yeah, the half court point. Half court 4-pointer.
Yeah, and I bet they could do it too, so it'd add more excitement.
Yeah, I think the Harlem Globetrotters do a
Oh, I've seen their cool stuff.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
Harlem Globetrotters, I think they have a 5-point from half court or something like that. So I
They're
don't know.
wicked talented.
Yeah, so like adding something like that would
Yeah.
be fun.
Yeah, I like that.
Okay. Okay. Some extra rule. And then, I think I don't know how to improve the marketing, but
Yeah, we're not marketing experts,
yeah,
but
I'm not a marketing major,
yeah.
but something can happen there.
Oh, definitely. Like now with TikTok is a big thing, and just Instagram Reels is a big
Then-
thing now too.
As you were talking about, like with all those comments, it's like as soon as they post something,
I know what you're gonna say.
all the comments are just like, it's boring, this is trash, we're not watching this.
Just ripping
Worse
the
than
league
that.
apart. Yeah.
I'm putting it lightly,
Yeah,
but yeah.
yeah. They need to hire a better marketing team,
Yeah.
like now.
Yep.
But I could say that from what I was hearing is that the athletes aren't being paid enough, and that's contributing to kind of like the boringness and
Mm.
the kind of unwillingness to the league. I haven't really looked at what some of the salaries are, but I'm assuming it's nowhere near to what men's basketball is being paid, which
Yeah.
is very sad. But I guess that comes when the league gets bigger.
Yep.
But I guess just people were saying that the athletes need to be able to focus on one thing, and that being the WNBA, and like having the income from the WNBA
Yeah.
to support them,
Yeah.
to make them more driven and dedicated to their teams, which I think is obviously a given.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess like maybe where they have teams right now aren't in the right spots, I guess. Like maybe expanding across the US to I always think that expanding to towns and cities that really have no sports
Yeah.
is always a good thing, because they'll catch right onto it right away and be like,
Connecticut.
yeah, something to do. Yeah.
I mean, that's kind of Connecticut Suns because we don't have much, so
Yeah.
they gave us that.
Yeah. And I guess just making its players well known. Like, I know, obviously in the NBA they have stars.
Yeah.
Maybe just creating some in the WNBA. Like, I don't mean to single people out, but it's like some people just go to games just to see like LeBron James.
Yeah.
Just to see people that they love.
Well,
Steph Curry.
That's happening with Caitlin Clark and
Yeah.
her college games. She's selling out stadiums that have never been sold out before.
Yeah.
For like just attending a game.
So I think creating a couple stars, 3 to 4.
Well, Sabrina, I think, I don't know how to say her last name, but Sabrina, she's like one of the big stars. And they have like an all-stars that they're doing, and they're going to be doing a 3-point contest between her and Steph Curry.
Oh,
so
damn.
That is something to look forward to, at least. So I think that's a good attempt at like, here's our number one star going against your number one star. Let's see how they.
So like, I don't know, when I think of the NBA, immediately I think of LeBron James, Steph Curry, and what's his name, Kyrie Irving or whatever. Yeah. So like, if I were to think about the WNBA, I would want to think of like 3 to 4 people.
Yeah. Like I used to be able to name more, like Diana Taurasi and Sue Bird and the other UConn players. If you attended UConn, oh yeah, I probably could name you.
I guess what I want to say is like fans obsess over those players. Like I would like to see like people obsess over WNBA players. Like maybe that will happen when the college players come in, which would be nice.
Yeah.
But like definitely I would establish that so you can have like a fan base that like gravitates towards stars, I guess.
Yeah. And I think it will be cool cuz there's no like rivalry currently in the league.
That was my next thing.
Yeah.
They need to create some aggression against other teams. Like you said, rivalry. And I would just if I were them, I would add in something to look for. Like I don't know how to describe it using basketball, but I could describe it using like hockey standards, I guess. If you take a look at there's so many I can name, but let's just say like Florida Panthers, Tampa Bay Lightning.
Mm-hmm.
2 teams that are technically close in location in the same state, they go at it.
Yeah.
When they play. Like, they just want to kill each other.
Yeah.
Now, I'm not saying the women have to kill each other. But I'm
close.
saying, like, you got to get the excitement going. Like, you almost have to, I don't want to say create fake hatred at first, but create some hatred a little bit.
No, but that's kind of what happened last year with Caitlin Clark versus Angel Reese. I don't know if you heard about that.
A little bit, yeah.
Okay, they had this whole thing because Caitlin Clark does the, like, you can't see me.
Yep.
And when they played against each other, you know, Angel Reese was throwing up the you can't see me and, like, look, I'm going to put a ring on my finger and we're going to win this game. And then they did. And it was a whole controversy, like, Angel Reese shouldn't have done that, or, like...
No, she totally should have.
Yeah, like, that's the fun.
It gets people talking.
Yes, it was so fun. And, like, finally, my brother was talking about, I was like, why is my brother talking about, like, women's sports? This has never happened before. And it was so fun, like, hearing everyone's opinion, and it was like, oh, the drama... But, like, that's what it needs.
That's what they need, yeah.
There needs to be that in the WNBA.
And I feel like women are good at drama.
Oh,
I have to say.
We gotta bring the drama.
They can create some, definitely.
We can create some drama, for sure.
Definitely.
So I think that's good for how to improve.
Yeah.
We gave some good advice.
Yeah.
We should be in charge.
Yeah. Just give us all ties to the WNBA. Now.
Yeah, right now. We'll manage it.
It'll be better by the end of the month.
Let me graduate first, actually.
I'm not there yet.
Okay, so the thing is, I feel like it's the hardest part to move past is the bad press. And, like, the refusal from men to watch the sport.
It is so prevalent for the WNBA.
Yeah. So many negative comments. And we were just talking about the PWHL, so this is on my mind. But there's so many supportive men in the PWHL.
Yeah.
it's like I don't get, maybe it's because they're Canadian.
Could be.
It's because they're Canadian, so they're nicer, but
Yeah.
but it's just, it's so sad to see. And I don't know if there's really a solution. Like, does it just have to be the next generation? We just gotta get rid of that one, and then
I don't know. I think that people are really desperate to see something. So maybe if they saw something like exciting or something that's going to catch their eye, maybe it would lighten up a little bit, but like it was so harsh that like you're automatically just going to get negative feedback on whatever you do, I guess. Like
yeah, it's sad just scrolling through the
Yeah.
comments. Like, it just makes you like depressed just like reading the comments.
and like when I read stuff about it, I'm just like, this makes me not interested because people are saying such bad things about it.
Yeah.
Like if I watch, like, I would feel upset for them and I'd want to like turn it off, like if that makes sense.
Yeah. Cuz it's really a struggle. And I know some people that do watch the WNBA and ignore all that, and like, that's awesome. But I think I too was influenced by people online, even without trying to be, to like not watch it, really.
Yeah.
Not to like get into it. And also, I have no clue where they stream.
I don't either. I only see like clips on social media.
Yeah, I could not. I have tried to find a stream, I think last year. I think for the finals that they might have been on ESPN or something like that. But
See, just
it's
like,
just another thing that's like, okay, now I do want to watch it. How, where, how?
and that
then-
was the big thing with the PWHL. Now everything is so accessible, but
Mhm.
before, forget it. Any women's hockey was,
Yeah.
you couldn't find it.
Yeah, exactly. So it's just, I don't know, making it accessible might help. Like,
Yeah.
just having it on ESPN Plus or like on some sports service, because like it used to be, NWSL was also like on Lifetime,
Yeah, that's
on the
No.
Lifetime channel. What? Or
we need.
Freeform. It was on Freeform
Oh
too.
my god.
One of them was on Freeform. I was like, why are you on this channel? Doesn't
We
make
need
sense.
to eliminate things that people could complain about,
Yeah.
and I think that's definitely their biggest thing. And finding a stream just frustrates people like immediately.
Mhm.
So that's definitely a thing that they have to change. So good point on that.
Yeah. Just finding a stream. Okay. Now let's talk about why college is so successful.
Okay.
So, college women's basketball is just, I mean, getting more and more views, especially since Caitlin Clark. I keep talking about it, but like, but she's like the big thing nowadays.
Right.
And everyone's talking about her. And so we have to talk about her. And why has it become so popular? And how can we take that popularity and put it into the WNBA?
I think to start is that it's different in the sense that college already has a set in, I guess, fan base, if
Yeah.
that makes sense. Like, you'll, just like here, like some of our sports aren't that big, but like we still have people that go because they have friends on the team, and then those friends are going to watch the game and be like, hey, like this game was really good, you should come to the next one.
Yeah.
So it keeps growing, and I guess the fan base is already included when you have a college team.
Yep.
And I feel like because the excitement was so high at those games, it just, more and more people are going to go.
Yeah. I agree. Like, there's just a built-in fan base. I mean, that's what it is. UConn is kind of like, I'm going to compare it to UConn because that's what I know. UConn is just, it's the basketball school.
Yep.
And that's just going to be like, everyone's going to go to the basketball games. Everyone knows the women have like consecutive titles, however many, 13 or 11 or something. And they're like crazy good. So everyone's going to go.
Right.
even if your team isn't that good, but there's going to be a couple people at least in attendance.
There's always a support system in college.
Yeah, even if you're not a good team.
And I think college kids definitely bring the excitement. Like, if you were to watch, I don't know, like, I guess, let's just say, like, a game, we'll compare it to hockey because it's a lot easier in the sense because there's like, teams in the same area, but let's say you went to, like, a Boston College or Boston University game. The intensity there might be higher than a Boston Bruins game. Like, college kids are always out of their seats screaming, bringing signs that say ridiculous stuff.
Yeah, that's true.
Like, you can't get that at, I guess, like, a higher level.
Well, they're all drunk, too.
Right. And it's all, like, older people at, like, national level sports. Like,
yeah.
So I guess the intense, like, I don't know, aroma, I want to say, is, like, is higher at college.
The environment is, like, a different environment.
Yeah.
And I feel like people who go to women's college basketball games are not the same people who would go to a WNBA game.
Right.
Because, like, students have that added factor where, like, we'll just go where the crowd's going.
Yeah.
And if all my friends are going to a women's basketball game, I'm going to go.
Even though you may not like the sport.
Yeah. And then you're like, oh, I like this.
Yeah.
This is fun.
Yeah.
But then you're probably not going to go out of your way because you're not getting advertisements or you're hearing that the WNBA is boring. You're not going to go out of your way to move on to the WNBA.
Right.
But now that there's so many stars, like, transitioning to the WNBA, I have really high hopes.
And people may follow that into the national level.
And I think, honestly, the WNBA has, like, the most potential as an organization. I think they have so much potential. They have so many stars that they can do so much with. And it just feels like right now, they're, like, dropping the ball on it.
Yeah, it doesn't seem like there has been much done with it. And I feel like maybe something in administration needs to change.
Yeah.
Because it has been like this for quite some time.
Yeah, for a long time.
Yeah.
And then also college has Title IX.
Right.
So they have to give the same for equality purposes. So they just get that same treatment, marketing and everything.
Where it's sad that sometimes that doesn't happen at a national level.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So hopefully that when this big group of stars in college transition to WNBA, it's going to be
a much bigger thing.
Yeah. And it's going to be successful. I have hope.
I do too. A lot of potential there.
Yeah, and I just want to, like, end with also, like, we're not saying the WNBA should not exist, like,
we're just saying it could be better than what it is.
Yeah. Like, it needs to exist. There should be a professional outlet for women's sports.
It should be for every sport.
For every sport.
Because it's like, why is there a point for me to go through this all through college and not have an option at the end of college to continue it?
What's the point of that?
Right.
So I think there needs to be a professional league, but something needs to change in order for it to be successful.
Yeah.
Word.
Agreed.
Okay, well, thanks everyone for listening.
Yes, thanks for tuning in.
This has been the You Can't Play Sports podcast
on the WNBA.
Yes, thank you.